Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Here at Sensory Quest, we review toys from the perspective of my daughter Elena, who is deafblind. Our mission is to showcase toys and gadgets that anyone can interact and enjoy, no matter your special needs. Today, we'll be reviewing the Multi Textured Rattle by Sophie the Giraffe. This toy is recommended for ages 3 months and up. It's pretty much made out of hard and soft plastic, and a little bit of rubber just around this area here. Pretty lightweight, decent size. I'd say the heaviest part would be the giraffe head. Quite heavier than the rest, so if you're still seeing your baby or toddler dropping things on their face a lot, this may still hurt a little bit. But I mean, overall, in comparison to some of the other rattles and teethers out there, it is decently sized and it's got a decent weight. It's not too heavy. I just wish maybe this headpiece was a little lighter, but it's not too bad. To wash this, just wipe the surface clean with some soapy water and a damp cloth. Do not put this in the dishwasher or try to boil it or anything like that, just because some of the rubber and some of the plastic will just melt right off. It's got some bright colors, as with most baby toys, of course. However, we find that there's a little bit more contrast in this toy than some of the others. I'm not sure if it was done on purpose or not, but for our purposes, it worked out great. So even against this blue background, some of the pieces stand out. So especially the orange and the green, maybe even the red a little bit. But the cool part is it's got this clear area here. And when you move these on this side, it's almost like they're against the white background. So our daughter has low vision, and for her, contrasting colors and shapes are very important. So when she started playing with this, we noticed that she'd have a totally different reaction to these objects when they were kind of on this side as opposed to here or even on this side. And the other neat thing that we noticed is because it's clear, depending on how the lighting is in your room or how they're holding the toy, you know, obviously wherever the light is shining from, there are moments where the light will literally shine on here, it will reflect, and it will just create an interesting area for them to look at. And the way that you play with these is very different when you have your face literally like against this clear part and you're trying to figure out what these guys are, and there's light and there's a bit of reflection, and it just provides a different experience. The other neat part about it is that these rings, you know, they're obviously different shapes, so that alone is awesome. You have the square, almost like a little flower, triangle, and a circle. They each have their own texture, so the raised bumps on this guy, some lines on this one. And even these, I know they look the same, you know, they don't have any actual like pattern on them or anything like that. However, this one is, you know, your basic shape, and then this square has almost like this indentation in it. So for someone that is very tactile dependent, we found that this alone was something interesting for our daughter. And the other awesome thing is, yes, you can move them around like this, which on its own is something entertaining, but you can also kind of spin them around, especially this circle one and even this square. And the neat thing about this particular toy is that, yes, there's many toys that have rings and you can move them around and stuff, but this one, there's a lot more space between sort of the bar and the actual ring. I mean, I can almost stick my finger through here. So that makes it much easier. I don't need to use as much effort. I don't need to be as coordinated. And especially if your child has some work to do like ours did with their motor skills, and sometimes even with the amount of pressure that they apply. We worked and are still working quite hard with Elena to get her to apply more pressure when she's playing with certain toys. But this one, I mean, it's so easy because they're not like super tight to the handle. There's quite a bit of space in between each shape and the handle, so it's much easier to move around whether you're doing this or whether you're spinning them around. So that's another positive that we found about this toy. So this little guy is both a teether and a rattle. The rattling is mainly because of these colorful beads that move around on this clear side. So that's interesting on its own, of course, just from a cause and effect, and if your child does have good vision, they'll be able to kind of follow these guys around. But obviously from a rattle perspective, it's like that. And once you let these guys move as well, they add some sound of their own. So now it's not very loud. So if your child is hard of hearing, then they may not be able to pick up the sound of the rattle part of this toy. For us, it worked out because Elena has no hearing, so we don't really care whether or not a toy makes sound. And if I'm being perfectly honest, the quieter the better, because she gets nothing out of it, and so we're less annoyed by all the noise. But yeah, so just something to keep in mind. If you're looking for something that's a bit louder, then this will not be that for you, but it has a lot of other good features, so you decide. Now for teething, you know, every child will have their favorite parts of a toy that they kind of gravitate towards. There's something for everyone. So you have these raised little, it's almost silicone rubbery parts here. This is much harder plastic, and then this has like a rubber material over it. So the red parts are hard plastic, and then the blue part is the same material as this. And even from the touching perspective, it just feels different, you know? So if you are very tactile oriented and or have sensory loss and touch is very important to you, you'll find that just by touching, you'll change from different surface to different surface, and that alone is something that's really interesting. But back to the teething part, so you know, you can tease on this. This is harder. This is not really meant for teething. I never saw Elena trying to mouth on this part too much, so not sure about that. But like I mentioned earlier, has a lot of other benefits. And then, interestingly enough, and I did not expect her to do that, but she really loved to mouth on the actual head of the giraffe. So whether she was kind of around the mouth, but especially the ears. So these guys are almost like a bit of a rubber themselves, but very, very hard, so you can't really move them. But I can see how putting this in your mouth and kind of chewing on it is good for the gums. So she loved to just teeth on here, and then at the same time, while she's mouthing or teething, she would kind of play with these. The only other thing I'd say about this is that obviously it's lightweight, like I mentioned. It's got a lot of texture on it, from the handle to the rings to the giraffe's head, different colors, different moving parts, whether it's these guys or the beads inside. So it really doesn't matter whether you're looking for something for your sighted child or for someone that is mainly dependent on touch. This has enough on it that it will keep everyone interested, and it's lightweight enough that you can just throw it in your diaper bag or whatever and just take it along. And it's also easy to attach to stuff. I mean, it's a circle, so you know, common sense, just put this anywhere. We brought this along everywhere. She loved to teeth on this, and we found that it provided enough movement, it had enough moving parts that she could keep herself entertained for quite a while. The Multi Textured Rattle by Sophie the Giraffe gets an Elena score of 10 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and watch out for more content from Elena and I.